Good morning, students. Today we are going to start with another lesson from the book Footprint Without Feet, that is the necklace. This story is written by G.D. Maupassant, a great French writer. He is considered to be one of the best short story writers of the world. He was born on 5th August 1850 in France. He depicts human life often in pessimistic terms. He wrote more than 300 short stories, 6 novels, travel books, and even poetry. Now, this story, The Necklace, is the story of a woman, Mathilde. Mathilde is a woman who is born in a very poor family, but she is so elegant, so beautiful, but by unluckily she was born in the family of clerks, and she had no expectations, no dowry, and therefore she married to a poor clerk. Now she is invited to a grand party. She has a beautiful dress. She has managed to buy a beautiful dress but no jewelry. She borrows a necklace from a friend and loses it. So now this is the story that what happens when we borrow something, and if we lose it, what happens in her life, because her expectations, her desires, they were so high, and ultimately that leads to what? So this is what we will read in this story. So let's start. Now, as the story starts, she was one of those pretty young ladies born as if through an error of destiny into a family of clerks. She had no dowry, no hopes, no means of becoming known, loved and married by a man either rich or distinguished. So now she was one of those pretty young ladies. Now she was so beautiful, elegant lady, born as if through an error of destiny, unluckily into a family of clerks. She had no dowry because her parents were poor, no hopes and no means of becoming known. She had no means of becoming known because she would become familiar, famous, loved and married by a man either rich or distinguished, and she had no hope of getting married to any rich or distinguished person. So she allowed herself to marry a petty clerk in the office at the Board of Education. So she got married to a clerk who was posted in the Board of Education. She was simple, but she was unhappy. Now the thing is, we may be poor, but she was poor, but she was always unhappy. Now the thing is that why she was so unhappy? She suffered incessantly. Incessantly means continuously, feeling herself born for all delicacies and luxuries. Now what she thought, that she was born for all the delicacies and luxuries. Delicacies word, that is the fineness, and luxuries. What she wanted in her life, she wanted all kind of luxuries. Okay, and she suffered from the poverty of her apartment, but as she was married to a poor clerk, she lived in a humble dwelling. The shabby walls and the worn chair, the walls were not decorated, they were shabby walls, and the worn chairs, they were very old chairs were there. All these things tortured and angered her. Now all these things made her unhappy and always remained in an angry mood, because she wanted to enjoy her life, she wanted to enjoy all the things, she had high expectations, but she couldn't get anything like that. When she seated herself for dinner opposite her husband, who uncovered the tureen with a delighted air, saying, "Oh, the good pot pie, I know nothing better than that." Opposite to her, her husband was quite satisfied and a happy person. And when they sat for dinner, and when he opened the bowl with a delighted air, he was always happy, always excited about the things, and he always praised his wife. "Oh, the good pot pie, what a dish you have prepared. I know nothing better than that." And he always praised and said that there is nothing much better than this in the world. So But she was always distressed. What she thought, she would think of elegant dinner. Now, what she thought that she should have elegant dinner of shining silvers. She thought of the executive food served in marvelous dishes. She had neither frocks nor jewels, nothing, and she loved only those things. So now, but what she thought? She always thought of the elegant dinners of shining silvers, that she must be served dinner in silverwares. She thought of the executive that is given the lovely food served in the marvelous dishes, and she had neither frocks, no good clothes, she had no jewelry, nothing, and she loved only material things. And she actually had a good family, but what her desire was, she wanted to have all the materialistic things in the world. Okay, good jewelry, good food, good clothes, all that she wanted in the life. Actually, she was not at all satisfied with what she had. She had a rich friend, a schoolmate at the convent, who she did not like to visit. Now, she had a rich friend, a schoolmate at the convent. Okay, they had studied together, and she was a rich friend who she did not like to visit. And they were good friends, but she did not like to visit her because she suffered so much when she returned. When she returned back, she always suffered. She felt distressed. She was so rich, she was enjoying all the luxuries that she wanted, and she suffered so much. She started weeping. She wept for whole days for despair and disappointment, and she always was disappointed, and she started weeping, and that's why she did not want to visit her friend also. One evening, her husband returned elated, bearing in his hand a large envelope. So, one day, what happened? Her husband, when returned from the office, he had a large envelope in his hand. Here, he said, "Here is something for you." So now he excitedly told his wife that he had brought something for her. She quickly drew out a printed card on which were inscribed these words. So now she quickly drew out, it was a printed card, and these words were written on this letter. The Minister of Public Instruction and Madame George Impagno asked the honor of Mr. and Ma'am Loisel Company Monday evening, January 18 at the Minister's residence. Actually, as we are already told that the Madame Loisel's husband, he worked at the Ministry of Education. So, minister, it was actually an invitation card which was from the minister's side. There was a party, there was a dance party on January 18 at the minister's residence, and he had invited Mr. and Madame Loisel for this party. Now she must have been happy. She always wanted that kind of delicacies and that kind of party she wanted to attend. But instead of being delighted, instead of being happy, as her husband had hoped, and as her husband was also expecting that she would be happy, she threw the invitation spitefully upon the table, murmuring. So she threw the invitation spitefully upon the table. Now she was not at all happy to see that invitation card. Okay, and what she did, what do you suppose I want with that? What I should do with this card? But my dearie, I thought it would make you happy. You never go out, and this is an occasion, and a fine one. So now what he thought, my dearie, that I thought that you would be happy to get this invitation. You never go out, and this is an occasion when we can go out, and we can, this is a fine one. This is an invitation from the ministry. Everybody wishes one, and it is very select. Everybody wants to go there, but it is only for the selected people. Not many are given to employees, and invitations are not given to the employees, but we are lucky that we have got this invitation. You will see the whole official world there. All the officers would be there, and we are lucky to get a chance to go there. She looked at him with an irritated eye. As of her habit, she was upset, angry again, and she looked at him with an irritated eye and declared impatiently, And what she said, what do you suppose I have to wear to such a thing as that? It is such a big party, all the official world is there, and what do you suppose me to wear for this party? Now, he had not thought of that. Mr. Loisel had not thought of that. He stammered, why, the dress you wear when we go to the theatre. You can wear that dress that you wear when we go to the theatre. It seems very pretty to me. It is really nice dress. He was silent, stupefied. He was just looking at her like a stupid person. In dismay, he was also disappointed at the sight of his wife weeping, and his wife started weeping, and he was looking stupid in a stupid way at her. He stammered, what is the matter? What is the matter? What happened? Why are you weeping? By a violent effort, she had controlled her vexation, her distress, and responded in a calm voice. Now suddenly she stopped her distress, her weeping, and responded in a very calm voice. What she said, wiping her moist cheeks. She just cleaned her cheeks, and what she said, nothing. I only have no dress, and consequently I cannot go to this affair. Nothing. I have no dress. The main thing is I don't have a suitable dress to wear for such a party, and that's why I can't go to this party. Give your card to some colleague whose wife is better fitted out than I. So you should give this card to somebody else whose wife is having better clothes than me. He was grieved. He was really very sad, but answered, let's see, Matilda. How much would a suitable costume cost? Something that would serve for other occasions, something very simple. Now, he just tried to find out the solution, and he asked Matilda, how much that would costing you to buy a new dress, something that would serve for other occasions also, very simple, not so costly. She reflected for some seconds, thinking of a sum that she could ask for without bringing with an immediate refusal and a frightened exclamation from the economical clerk. As she knew that he was just a clerk, so she did not want to ask for that amount that he would immediately refuse. So she just thought for a second, and with due consideration, what she finally told. Finally, she said in a hesitating voice, I can't tell exactly, but it seems to me that 400 francs ought to cover it. Now what she said, that I can't tell exactly that how much that would cost, but around 400 francs would be enough to buy a good dress. He turned a little pale, little nervous, because he had saved just this sum to buy a gun that he might be able to join some hunting parties the next summer. Actually, he wanted to go for hunting the next summer, and he had saved that much amount, 400 francs, to buy a gun. And he wanted to go with his friends who went to shoot larks on Sundays. Larks are the birds, and he wanted to go there. Nevertheless, no doubt he answered. He wanted to make his wife happy. So he said, very well, I will give you 400 francs, but try to have a pretty dress. So I will give you that, but just try to have a good dress. Now, the day of the ball approached, and Madame Loisel seemed sad, disturbed, anxious again. Now the day of the dance party approached, and Madame Loisel seemed sad again. Again she was disturbed, anxious. Why she was so worried? No doubt her dress was nearly ready. Her husband said to her one evening, and again her husband asked, what happened? What is the matter with you? You have acted strangely for 2 or 3 days. You are not behaving in a proper way, normal way, for the last 2-3 days. And she responded, I am vexed not to have a jewel. So now the reason for her distress was that she had not a piece of jewelry, nothing to adorn. Adorn means decorate, to make herself beautiful, myself with. I shall have such a poverty-stricken look, because if she did not have a good jewelry, so she would just look a poor lady, and I would prefer not to go to this party. Even after spending 400 francs buying a good dress, she refused to go to the party because she did not have good jewelry. He replied, "You can wear some natural flowers in this season, they look very chic." So, what he said, he suggested that you should wear some natural flowers. He suggested because he had no money to buy all that. So, he said they look very good in this season. She was not convinced. She replied, "There is nothing more humiliating than to have a shabby air in the midst of rich women." So now what she said, कि now it is because all the official word would be there, all the people, all the ladies, they would be rich, they would look beautiful, elegant in their beautiful dresses and jewelry, and I don't want to look, I would look shabby in the midst of all these rich women. So I don't want to have that insult. Okay. Then her husband cried out, "How stupid we are! We are so stupid. Go and find your friend Madame Forestier and ask her to lend you her jewels." "Why don't you go to your friend Madame Forestier? She was her rich friend and asked to lend her a jewel. You can borrow jewelry from her." She uttered a cry. She also, that idea also hit her. She was also excited about this idea. "It is true," she said. "I had not thought of that. I had never thought of this." The next day, she took herself to her friend's house and related her story of distress. Now, next day she went to her friend's house and told her story of distress, her story. Madame Forestier went to her closet. She was a nice lady. So she went to her almirah, took out a large jewel case, brought it, opened it and said, "Choose, my dear." And she opened the jewelry case, and what she said, "Choose, my dear, what you want. I don't know what you want, but you choose yourself." She saw at first some bracelets, then a collar of pearls, then a Venetian cross of gold, jewels of admirable workmanship. She tried the jewels before the glass, hesitated, but could neither decide to take them nor leave them. Actually, there was a good variety of jewelry in that box. So bracelets, pearls, gold jewelries and all that. But she could not decide. She tried so many, but she could not decide what to leave and what to take. Then she asked, "Have you nothing more? Is there nothing more?" "Why, yes, look for yourself. I don't know what will please you. Just look it for yourself. I don't know what you want." Suddenly she discovered in a black satin box a superb necklace of diamonds. So, suddenly what she discovered? She discovered in a satin box a wonderful necklace of diamonds. Superb necklace. Diamond, it was a diamond necklace. Her hands trembled as she took it out. Now her hands started trembling. She placed it before her throat against her dress and she was ecstatic. She was filled with pleasure. Then she asked in a hesitating voice, full of anxiety, "Could you lend me this? Only this." So now what she wanted to have this only because she liked that it so much, and she asked with anxiety that, "Can you lend me this? Can you give this diamond necklace to me? Only this one." And what Madame Forestier said, "Why, yes, certainly. Why not? You can have it, my dear." So she gave him that necklace. So now, Madame Loisel, she fell upon the neck of her friend, embraced her with passion, then she went away with her treasure. And then she thanked her friend, embraced her, and then she went away with her treasure. And she was so happy to get that diamond necklace. The day of the ball arrived. Madame Loisel was a great success. She was a great success at the party because of her. She was already so beautiful, and with that beautiful dress and a diamond jewelry, she was the prettiest of all. Elegant, gracious, smiling, and full of joy. And she was looking so gracious, so smiling, full of joy. All the men noticed her. All the men who were there in the party, they noticed her because she was such a beautiful lady, asked her name and wanted to be presented, and they wanted to dance with her, they wanted to be introduced with her. She danced with enthusiasm, intoxicated with pleasure, intoxicated with having no control, okay, over control, that was with pleasure. She was full of pleasure, thinking of nothing but all the admiration, and thinking that how she was admired, praised by all. The victory so complete and sweet to her heart, and it was a great victory that was complete, and that was the what she wanted in her life, and she had got all that. She went home towards 4 o'clock in the morning. Till 4 o'clock in the morning, she was in the party, and at 4 o'clock they started for home. Her husband had been half asleep in one of the little saloons since midnight. After midnight, her husband was sleeping in some room. A saloon is a room, little room, and with three other gentlemen whose wives were enjoying themselves very much. And other three gentlemen were also there whose wives were enjoying in the party, and after midnight they were sleeping. He threw around her shoulders the modest wraps they had carried, whose poverty clashed with the elegance of the ball costume. He threw around her shoulder. Now, as they came out, it was the winter season, so he had a wrap. Wrap means shawl, जिसको बोलते हैं कि एक modest सी simple सी shawl थी. He just put that shawl on her shoulders, and that did not match at all with the ball costume, elegance of the ball costume, because it was so simple. She wished to hurry away in order not to be noticed by the other women who were wrapping themselves in rich furs. And she just wanted to hurry from that place and without being noticed, because inside she presented herself a rich woman. And now if she wears that normal ordinary wrap, so what they would be thinking, because all the other ladies, they were covering themselves in the costly furs. Loisel detained her. Loisel wanted to stop her. Wait, he said, I am going to call a cab. Just wait there, I will call a cab and then we will leave. But she would not listen and descended the steps rapidly. But she did not listen to him and immediately went down the steps. When they were in the street, they found no carriage and they began to seek for one. Now they were looking for a taxi, but they could not find any. So now what happened? He found no carriage and they began to seek for one, hailing the coachman whom they saw at a distance, and they were just calling the taxi people, but nobody stopped the taxi. They walked along towards the river, hopeless and shivering. They were shivering with cold and they were hopeless. They were not getting any taxi and they were walking towards the river. Finally, they found one of those old carriages that one sees in Paris after nightfall. Finally, they found a taxi, old taxi that moved in Paris only in the night. So it was very old taxi. It took them as far as their door, and they went wearily to their apartment. So now they reached their home. It went to their door, and they went wearily. Wearily means tired, up to their apartment. It was all over for her. Now all the elegance, all the beauty, all the charm and the being known, that was all over. Everything was over for her. And for his part, and for Mr. Loisel's part, he remembered that he would have to be at the office by 10 o'clock. And what he was thinking, that he would have to go to the office at 10 o'clock in the morning. She removed the wraps from her shoulders before the glass. So now what she did, she removed the wraps from the shoulders before the glass, okay, before the mirror. Actually, she wanted to have a last look at her glory, for a final view of herself in her glory. Suddenly, she uttered a cry. Her necklace was not around her neck. So now, as she looked in the mirror, what she found, that her necklace was not there around her neck. So now, it was not there. What would happen next? How they would manage? Okay, what they would do? How they would find the necklace, or what else they would do? That is all the rest part of the story, and how much they would suffer after that. This is all given. So we will study the next part, next lecture. With that, thank you.